Hey guys, and welcome to Trucking Along with Kirsty. That's me, your positive voice in trucking. And it is cold. I hope you guys had a fabulous Thanksgiving. I was out on the road. I was at Morris, Illinois. I was empty and needed to go 300 miles north, which was not a good idea in 60-mile-per-hour gusts, 45-mile-per-hour winds. So I hung out there for a little bit, had a trailer issue. Went up to Wisconsin, picked up a load, came back to Nebraska, and that's when like all these I promise she's not abused, she's really spoiled. But every time I get on the phone, she cries. She tries to convince my friends that I starve her. And I'm like, yeah, okay. What she wants is those $3, little treat things. $3 per treat. Little spoiled brat. This most spoiled cat in the country. Did you hear that? Yes. It's like really crazy. At the truck stop in Morris, there were trash cans underneath all the trailers, the buckets that hold the washer fluid at the fuel pumps. It was all over the place. Like, it actually lifted up the buckets. And I told my company, I was like, I'm not going, I'm sorry. And they were like, well, your hours are back. Yeah, don't think I'm going anywhere. It's not happening. Come on up here. Come on up here. Let's see if she'll be on camera. No, she don't even want to be pet. She just wants a stinking treat. See, she don't care about me. She's a little mad because you guys know me. Then you'll know that I had some time between picking up my next load. I got into Grand Island, and my next load wasn't done, but that was okay because I needed a break anyway. So what did I do? I went to the hotel that has an indoor swimming pool and, fitness center. So did the treadmill, got a swimming pool. Then I tried Pepper Jack's Grill. I didn't eat anything all day yesterday, and I was like, well, this is different, so I'll get some Uber. And actually, I was kind of surprised. They had an Italian sausage that I got with peppers and onions, which the roll was a little bit better than we get out on the road, because I think they're like more like hot dog buns, and you just can't put like a sandwich like that on a hot dog bun. But it wasn't bad, wasn't terrible. It was missing a little something. I'm not sure what, but so anyway. Figure I'll do a 6-month review on Greater Omaha Express. A lot of you had questions that you were asking me and emailing me and putting in the comments and stuff. So one of the biggest questions, most popular questions I got was, what's their pet policy? Because people know I have the cat. There is no charge for pet fee. There is no charge for a passenger fee. So there are guys out here that have their wives. There are guys out here that have dogs or whatever. As far as pets, I believe it's like a 50-pound weight limit. I don't think that they're going to be really like, if the dog's 53 pounds, are you going to like be kicked off the truck? I don't think so. Some of the other things were obviously starting pay. Starting pay is based on your experience. So it's like, I think it's 62 to 60 cents and 66 cents a mile to start. You get a raise every year. It maxes out at 70 cents per mile. Another question was, are there bonuses? No. You don't get bonuses. We do get holiday pay. So it's $200 for 6 holidays that you stay out, which Thanksgiving, yes, I worked, so I'll get that holiday pay. I actually, I started the week before Memorial Day, so I got paid Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. So I think that's the 6, right? So, and about scheduling for the holidays and stuff. It is a really small company. You feel the truck shaking me? Can you see it? Can you see it? No, that was me. But the truck is shaking really bad. But you know, they flat out told us that if you want to go home for the holiday, and they're limited to how many people that they can have off, because there's only 90 some odd trucks. So because of that limitation, if you want to go home for the holiday, they'll get you a load that has a lot of time on it. You can go run through the house, spend a day or two or whatever, and then get rolling. Because they still have to keep the demands of, you know, their customers. So what is one of the best things about this company? It's guaranteed freight. Basically, you know, we're a private fleet for a meat packing company, meat packing plant. So, like, yes, there are outside carriers that haul for our meat packing plant, but I think we do like 20 or 25% of the freight that's coming out of the plant. So that means outside carriers are doing the other 75%, which means if it gets to a point where we drivers that work for the plant are going to need miles, then they can just cut back on the outside carriers that they bring in. So what's that mean for my miles? Well, on a home time week, I'm about 2,400 miles, 2,500 miles. Last week, one full week, I think it came out to 3,400, because today's the end of the pay period. So I went from Omaha to Massachusetts to Illinois, Illinois to Wisconsin, Wisconsin back to Nebraska. So I've had quite a few weeks like that. I like going up to the Massachusetts and the Pennsylvanias. A lot of people don't like it, but to me it's just straight run. You know, you just go across 80, and people complain about parking and everything, but when you do a same area long enough, you know where you can find parking, and sometimes you're shocked and like, whoa, what the heck, you know. There's a place on I-80 that I am shocked in Pennsylvania that I go to, and it'll have like room for 300 trucks, and I'll have 100 trucks in there. And it's not even a paid lot. And I'm like, woohoo. The little things that entertain our truck drivers, you know. So dedicated freight, guaranteed freight, that's one of the best. Something else that's really cool is, I guess I wasn't sure if I was going to do it as like a 6-month review or mega carrier versus smaller company. You know, because when I was at Prime, you know, we had access to, you know, repairs and everything 24/7 any place in the country. But you dealt with road assist, and sometimes they would try to talk you into like, I don't want to say not getting it repaired, but it was more like, oh, well, that tire's fine, you can roll on that, or something like that. And this company doesn't even want to risk that. So when it comes to repairs, it's like, yeah, stop and get that fixed. And oh, by the way, how many weigh stations do you have to pass to get to your next delivery? Yes, stop and get that fixed. There is one head mechanic that you text, call, send them pictures, and he pretty much is the one that deals with all the maintenance and everything. So he knows all these trailers, he knows all these trucks. So when ooh, that car right there is slipping and sliding. At first I thought he meant to do that. You know, some of these young kids like think it's funny to slip and slide all over, until I saw the expression on his face. So that is really slippery right there. But so I think it's kind of interesting that that you have somebody that knows the trailers, you know, or knows the truck, and he can sit there and say, oh, you know, that particular truck has had this issue before, or that particular trailer had this issue before. So the trailers are really maintained well. I think too, because they're experienced drivers that are the ones driving. First off, they come back to the shop. They come back to the yard, to the shop, like, every other week at least. Usually I leave out with a load and I keep that trailer. I've had the same trailer for a week to 2 weeks. So I usually go back to the yard at least like every 10 days or so. I'll, I stopped by yesterday just to run in and pick up my mail, because now I'm gonna head down to Texas from Nebraska. But when it comes to the trailers, it's like, yeah, they're better maintained, and I think it also has to do with experienced drivers recognizing problems where, as new drivers at a training company like Prime Inc., you can't always tell, when you're new. Did you really notice the air leak? Did you think that the brake was just sticking because it's cold out? Did you not realize that this was, there's so many things that experienced drivers can recognize that new people can't. So I think that's one thing. I also think that because there's so many experienced drivers here, you need a 2-year minimum. And because of that, the trailers aren't banged up as much. So when you're at a newer, a training company, those trailers are getting beat up. They're hitting stuff. They're getting driven off of embankments and rolling over. And, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on. So we have a lot less than, of that. So I think the trailers are in better shape. The trucks are in really good shape. At Prime, I always felt comfortable going in, getting repairs. You had that inspection bay, and the guy would go in and do the DOT inspection and make a list of everything that was wrong. And so that was cool. But here, you get a DOT inspection like basically every 3 months. It's every 35,000 miles. And because we're running miles, you're getting it like every 3 months. One of my friends just made the top 10 most productive for last month. They're getting upwards of 14,000 miles a month. Now, yeah, to do that, you can't go home that particular month, but I'm going home every 2 to 3 weeks. That's what I'm doing. And what's been really cool is, even when I'm not home, I've gotten to see me and my brother. We went out, and I wound up picking up a load in Philadelphia, and I was able to spend the night, and he and I went to dinner. And so I think I've seen my brother more in the past 6 months that I've been with Go than I did in probably 2 or 3 years of being at Prime. Actually, for a little while, I thought that they were purposely keeping me out of the area so that I didn't want to stop. And so a home time's better. Now, when I was on the mini fleet, yeah, I could go home when I want, and I'd take 7 days off or 10 days off or whatever. I did do that. And I can't do that here. If I wanted to take 7 days off here, then I need to stay out 7 weeks. And a lot of you guys that might be leased are like, oh, I stay out 10, 12 weeks. Oh, good for you. I don't want to do it anymore. I've done it. I don't want to. Something that's really cool is, although I loved training, there's no pressure to train here. They don't do training. Everybody is on the same level. Everybody's a company driver, and everybody's experienced. And what I've noticed is, it seems to me that the drivers respect each other more. Now, at Prime, I loved Prime, and I felt useful, and I had a group of friends that were all instructors and trainers, and their goals and their philosophies were to help other drivers and to train and, and to be there for other people. And sometimes even when you're doing that, you get these people that have attitudes like they know better than you, even though they've never driven a truck before. And you're just like, you entitled little snot, get out of my face. And here, everybody has to be good to be at this company. You can't have accidents and tickets on your record. So because of that, I think the drivers themselves seem to have more respect for each other. We all know that we all are seasoned veterans, so therefore we've all been through nasty weather and we've all seen terrible accidents. We've probably been involved in accidents even if it wasn't our fault. It's a different level. It's a different level. And something that's kind of interesting here is I always heard your family here, and we said it at Prime, and for a long time it really felt like that. It really did. I mean, I still have people at Prime that, I talk to every day, and and when I go home, we all go and we all go out and we see each other, whatever. But here, there's a sense of caring that goes on a deeper level. It's not just individuals, it's actually the whole company. And what I mean by that is they had Driver Appreciation Week. They made up these little gift bags for every single driver. And yes, a lot of it was like, swag from, like Freightliner dealers and Western Stars and, the tractor trailer dealers and stuff like that. They gave us hats and t-shirts and stuff. But they also gave us these other bags that had more personalized stuff. And one of them was a candle. And I was telling somebody there that me and my brother always tease each other because I buy candles or air freshener. Every time I go shopping, I buy a candle or air freshener, and my brother buys soap. And here I open up my gift bag, and there's a candle in it. And it's a very pleasant smelling candle, too. Every Friday in the summertime, they have a cookout, and they put some meat from the meat plant on the grill, usually burgers and dogs and stuff. And for Driver Appreciation Week, they did steaks. It's different when you have the CEO of the company sitting there grilling your steak, or the head mechanic sitting there grilling your steak. The ladies in the office put out this spread where, no, it's not a 24-hour restaurant to your liking, but they do this with such caring and love, and they make sure that there are condiments, and they make sure that there's cheese for the burgers. And it's not like some huge thing, but sometimes they do like potato salad or macaroni salad. And for Driver Appreciation Week, they also had a dunk tank where you could pay to throw the balls at the different members, including the CEO, including the safety director, and the head of dispatch and everything. And all that money that we paid for the balls all went to charity, and everybody had a lot of fun. And think about that. There's no pride, there's no arrogance when the CEO of the company is willing to get up in a dunk tank for charity and let his drivers dunk him. That's kind of cool, and then it got donated to charity, which doubly cool. For Thanksgiving, the head mechanic made turkey, and the ladies made stuffing and some sides and cornbread and stuff. And they actually came out to the drivers in the trucks in the parking lot, and they were bringing the food out and inviting them to come upstairs. And anybody that's not there, they pack it all up and put it in styrofoam containers and put it in the refrigerator and put little notes on the refrigerator saying, we appreciate you. Please make sure you partake of that. And they usually have brownies or cookies or something. And, it's caring. It just seems personalized, and it's done with love. We were talking about COVID, and the safety director told me that the president's mom made that's the wind shaking me again. To the wind. Yeah. I don't know. You see. Yeah. No, good thing I don't have to drive empty today. So the CEO's mom, the president, his mom made the masks for the drivers. She hand sewed them. Again, that's caring and love. So one thing that impressed me was the CEO. He's constantly saying that he wants us safe because he wants us to get home. That's a far cry from, I don't care if you get home or not. Maybe some of you will remember that line. I don't care if you get home or not. And to have somebody say, we might not be able to get you home for you to stay home days. You'd have to use your vacation if you wanted long-term time off for the holidays, but we're going to get you home, and you could at least have a couple days to 34, whatever, for Christmas, because it's just a different feel. It's a different feel. We don't have messages going back and forth where you don't get responses, Now, my fleet managers always responded very quickly. But sometimes you would get the night dispatchers that would take, 20 minutes to an hour or whatever. Sometimes road assist would take a half hour to an hour. That doesn't happen here. We don't even use messages. We call, which I was not liking that. I really wasn't liking that at first. Because I was like, well, I don't have a record of anything. And, I'm like, now I don't need a record. At this place, there's I want to say there's about 10 people, all at basically something the size of a conference table, and they all face each other, and that's our dispatchers and our quote-unquote sales teams or planners or whatever. 2 ladies handle all the accounts, and, the others are dispatchers. And then in that same room is the office for the president and the office for the vice president, and they both have glass walls, so they see everything that's going on. You see everything that's going on as you're walking in. So that's different. Everybody's really laid back. The last couple years at Prime, I had said in one of my videos that I felt like there was this black, dark, oppressive cloud that hovers and just presses down on us, and it's not here. It's just not here. They let us have our packages mailed to the office, and it's not like an official mail room. We basically had a mini post office at Prime, and all the services that are included, like sending things, UPS or whatever. But no, now I don't have to pay, and they just kind of have all of our boxes on a table, and you go in and you grab your boxes, and it's kind of nice. It's not kind of nice, it's really nice. I feel like the people learn, they don't even know my truck number. And I heard that before, where people would say, oh, well, the mega carrier, just a truck number. and I never felt like a truck number, because I knew my fleet manager, I knew the night dispatchers, but when it came to like road assist or something like that, it would take a while. Did I know people personally on a personal level in every department? Yes, I did. Did I know them all? No. Here, there's probably only 20 people in the whole building, the whole in-house. Like, there's one recruiter, there's one HR person, there's one payroll person, there's, 2 safety people. So, that was one thing that was weird. When my first week, I called up and I was like, hey, this is Kirsten, and I don't know if you know, I just started. And they're like, yeah, we know you. I was like, oh, okay. And I called up and this is Kirsten, here's my truck number. Like, yeah, hey, how you doing? And yeah, okay, our names show up in the caller ID and everything, but, I walked around and I met, there's not a lot of them, so I walked around and I met people, and I was like, hey, what do you do? What's your name? What do you do? And how do I make your life easier? And, if you make everybody's life easier, then your life gets easier. I do get to pick my own regions. I'm not forced dispatch. I was running back and forth to California for a while because it's basically a 3,000 mile week guaranteed. 1,600 miles out to Cali and 1,600 miles back, so 3,200 miles. And I thought that was the way to go until I realized that I could run up to the Northeast and do the same thing. So I'm not running back and forth across Cali. I just don't want it. I don't want to drive across the mountains in the snow. I don't have to, so I'm not going to do it. And I could still make money not doing it. One thing, the worst part about working here is that when they call you with a pre-plan, I always have a pre-plan. Unless I'm delivering first thing in the morning, I have a pre-plan. But they call me while I'm driving to give me the pre-plan. So it's not like at Prime you got the load sent to you and you could sit there and look at it and you could know the customer and you could guess the weight, and you're like, I would already be planning out my route in my head. Where am I going to get washed out? Where can I fuel? Where can I, where's the parking and all that? And so it doesn't work like that here. Now, if I sat there and kept asking him questions on the phone while I'm driving, sure, he'd answer all those questions. But it's like, do you want to go to Cali or do you want to go to Massachusetts? I've got to go to Massachusetts. But, a lot of times if I'm driving, I'm not going to sit here. I'm too busy looking around. I'm not concentrating on what's the customer and blah, blah, blah. Now that I've been here a little while and I've been going through with different customers, I can guess, okay, this customer is this town. So coming back, the back hauls are brokered loads. So that's a little different. There are a lot of them that are the same. So I could say, hey, you usually get me this load from Sykeston, Missouri, back up to Nebraska, or there's a load out of Boston going back to, Nebraska or Illinois or whatever. And if they can find it, they'll give it to you. I mean, it pretty much, like, they just want to keep the drivers happy and they want to keep us safe, and I kind of feel bad for them though, because there's one HR person and there's 100 drivers, so there's always somebody needing something. There's always somebody that's in crisis. So I'd imagine that the in-house people feel more overwhelmed than the people at Prime. When you have coworkers that do the same job, I think that there could be a lot of pettiness that builds up. People try to pass work off to each other, and so I think that could be an issue. So I would imagine that the in-house people kind of feel overwhelmed. There is 24-hour dispatch. There's not technically 24-hour roadside assistance. There is, but there isn't. you're calling a guy who's home. Is he going to answer? Absolutely. But don't call him to tell him that your radio's busted at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not what he's there for. So you have to take that into consideration. I kind of felt bad because both Thanksgiving, I had an air leak on my trailer on Thanksgiving, and so I had to bother him on Thanksgiving. Memorial Day, I had to bother him on Memorial Day because there was a light out on my clearance lights on my trailer were out. And I just told him, hey, I'm parked at this truck stop and they're going to be calling you. And he says 10-4 thanks, you know. And then he calls you back and he tells you, okay, this is what they found wrong and this is what they're going to do. So I don't have any issues getting anything fixed. You don't sit for days trying to get things fixed because it's such a small company. They don't want to call, they don't want to pay breakdown pay. So it's like, you know, when it comes to the truck going in the shop or whatever, we're in and out. We're in and out. There's not, they don't want us sitting. And depending on what it is or where you are, can you be sitting in a hotel for a day? Yeah, but like, if you guys watch my old videos at Prime, I had it international. It was always in the shop. I was always in hotels. And people would say to me, do you ever drive? And I'm like, you know, they're paying me $200 a day to sit here in the hotel and they're giving me the free hotel. It's like a free vacation for me so I can make more videos and make more money off of referral bonuses. You know? So yeah. And about the calling, what I realized is that there are drivers that will get mad, you know? So they're in this situation where they're not supposed to call you on a 10-hour break or when you're off duty or in sleeper. But, you know, if they call you while you're on duty or you're driving, then, you know, you could be distracted. So, you know, and technically, legally, if dispatch calls you while you're on your 10-hour break, you could go on duty, answer the call, and then that 10-hour break has to start over, which I know that there are some people that do that, but I'm just like, well, just message me or call me. I'd rather, you know, have somebody answer my questions and, you know, than to be some jerk, you know, because that's, I don't know. But it's just different. It's just pick up the load and go. You go. You're not sitting, you're on the go. Like, I keep seeing people write to me from different trucking companies, like CFI is sitting and Millis is losing miles, Titan's losing miles, and it just seems like everybody I talk to, they're losing miles. The owner-ups I talk to in the truck stops, you know, they're complaining they're sitting longer, the loads are paying less, they're not happy. Even the ones that were doing well for a little while, all of a sudden they're not happy. So I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And I'm making good money too. Like I've been here 6 months. I'm pretty sure this past pay made 6 full months. So I'm at $56,000, $58,000, something like that in 6 months. I'm okay with that. Plus, my health insurance, it did go up. It was free when I got here, and they had to change policies, and it's $22 a week. But $22 a week, I'm okay with that. And it pays 100% for urgent care, which is one of the reasons why they switched policies. It also gives us like 26 free chiropractic visits a year or something like that. So I'm okay with that too. Have there been changes since I got here? Yes. They didn't used to have a fuel route. Now they have a fuel route. You know, it's starting to feel like, oh my gosh, is this going to turn into Prime with changes and you know, I don't think so. One thing that does seem is that they do seem to take feedback from drivers, Prime used to, and I felt like they stopped. This company seems to take a little bit of things into consideration. One of my friends, he told the president, hey, we should do this and that and this and that, and, you know, organize things this way or run this way, and all of a sudden it's done. When there's things that are going on that you think are stupid, whereas at Prime we would just complain, and, you know, it would just be like, well, that's just the way it is. You can walk in to this company and say, hey, I think that's stupid. Could you tell me why you're telling me to do this? And they just tell you. And a lot of times it's something on the back end that we don't see as drivers. You know, even with the fuel discounts and stuff. So, it's just different. It's just different. And being back at the yard a lot, I'm seeing a lot of my, because I moved a lot of my best friends here. Yeah, I was sending to people here for a couple years, and you know, so like all my really close friends are here. There's still a few of you out there that I'm trying to bring in. Maybe eventually, yeah, you'll be willing to take the jump, but now I get to see the people I talk to the most a lot more often than I did before, because we're either, you know, a bunch of us have Life 360 and we follow each other on the app, and we can see where we're going and when we're heading back to the yard, and, you know, it's kind of cool. We get to go to dinner together, we'll see each other out on the road, and, you know, sometimes we have the exact same customer we're going to, and that sort of thing. So we can kind of, you know, play follow the leader and go and have dinner or something. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. It seems to me like they're more concerned about us making money. They're more concerned about us making money. They'll call up and they'll be like, hey, you know, I got this load and it's got a lot of miles on it, but it's the end of the pay period, and here's the shorter load. It's only 400 miles, but you can get it in before payday, so that'll bump your pay up this week. So they kind of give you the choice with that. That's not something that really happened at Prime. Prime is just, okay, here's that load. So that's different, having somebody worried about me making money. Back in July, I did have this issue with a claim, and I wound up having to sit on that claim while they found some place for me to go and take it, and I delivered it to a food bank the next day, and I had already had a pre-plan, and I didn't even need to tell dispatch. They just called me up and said, hey, we already added $200 for layover pay, and we already changed your appointment for your next load, so, you know, here you go. And I was like, cool, that wasn't even something I had to ask for. That happened to me a couple times. There was another issue. It's a pain in the neck load, and it was not Go's fault. It was not Go Express's fault. Nope. The vice president knew that I was frustrated. I was trying to get home. I was in California. I picked up this load, and it had 2 stops on it, and the shipper loaded it in the wrong order. So I went in, and it took them another couple hours to rearrange stuff. Then it took a couple hours for the bills, and I got paid detention for it. But which, by the way, detention pays the same check, which is cool. I got paid detention, but then I get from California all the way to Costco in Denver, and when I get there, guess what? They had no power, so I couldn't deliver the load. And then I missed that appointment, got moved to the next day, and I thought I was going to have enough time to get unload it and then get to the next one, and I missed the second stop. So that load kind of dragged on for a couple days, and I was running it as hard as I could to try to get get to that first stop on time after being delayed at the shipper. And, you know, and I did. And the vice president was like, wow, I never expected you to make that load. He's like, you got there a lot faster than I thought. And I was like, well, yeah, because I just didn't stop. You know, I didn't, you know, sometimes you're out here and you can take time to relax and you know, dawdle and hang out. And there's other times you want to run it hard. And, you know, I was trying to run it hard and get it done and get this load off of me so I could get one load closer to get back home to Missouri. And, you know, without me even asking, you know, the big boss, the vice president guy, he texted me and he's like, hey, I'm adding X amount of dollars. I already added it to your pay. And his next question was, do you think that's a fair amount? Okay. And you know, I knew I should have gotten something. But yeah, I thought what he gave me was fair. What he offered me was fair. But I thought it was more impressive that I didn't even have to ask for it. I didn't have to argue for it. I didn't have to, you know, stomp my feet and pout or anything. And it's just more professional. Now, with that said, are there things that are going to happen at this company that I don't like? Sure. Are there people that are going to annoy me from time to time? Sure. Are there going to be terrible loads that I'm going to say, this is a pain in the neck and I'm not doing it again? Sure. But all in all, it's still better. Yeah. It's still better. And I still get anxiety every time I'm going home because I think they're not going to get me home. And they always get me home. One time my Qualcomm was down and I was supposed to be home. I needed to go home for a doctor's appointment and get some medication. And, you know, they were really worried about that. And it was a weekend, so their choice was going to be have to pay me breakdown pay, you know, over the weekend, and then I get delayed and I don't get to go home for the doctor, or they loan me a pickup truck for me to drive back home from Omaha. And they gave me that choice. So I just packed up all my stuff in that pickup and I was like, all right, bye. I actually took an extra day off at that point too, because I was like, well, you know, I gotta spend my time driving down and driving up, so you're cutting into my home time. And they're just like, yeah, understandable. So I thought that was impressive because they were concerned about my needs. Now, in the meantime, I have had my fleet manager from Prime has called me and texted me and asked me to come back. His name's Mark Goddard. He's a great guy. Mark and Matt Roman were my two fleet managers at the 10 years I was at Prime. And they were both amazing. They were both really good guys to work for. You know, I felt bad talking to Mark because, you know, he's like, you were a good driver, I want you back. And, you know, no, sorry. You know, and like, I would love for Mark to come here. Come on over. But you know, and the thing is, to even go back there and drive for that same guy, I wind up having to go lease, and I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. It's not my thing. I don't want it. It's aggravation. You know, as a company driver, I have this line all the time that I say, company driver, not my problem. I love this person right here just parked in the middle of the road in the driveway, like blocking the driveway, and he's trying to get his wiper blades aren't working. But you know, now I don't see me going back. No. I still have friends there, and I wish everybody the best. I wish everybody luck. I hope it works for them. It just wasn't working for me anymore. And hopefully this place will continue to work for me. And, you know, the president, CEO, is a really nice guy. You know, and I told you, he says over and over, the whole point of having you drive safe is to get you home. We want you back with your families. You know, and one day I was talking to him about the YouTube channel, and I had somebody that wanted to, a reporter that wanted to come on the road with me, and so we were discussing that, and he was like, so how do you like it here? I was like, yeah, I like it here. I think I'll be here a while. And he said, well, as long as you stay long enough for me to retire. And he was like, I want all the good drivers to stay until after I retire. Then after that, you know, do whatever you want. But, you know, and that's kind of a nice feeling. Like, that was something that was impressive too, is that CEO, he goes out into the parking lot and he inspects the trucks while you're parked. You'll be in the sleeper and he'll be looking through your truck, looking for leaks and stuff, and he knows the trucks. Like, I walked by one day and he said to me, did Mike get your truck out of the shop yet? And I was like, yeah, that's why I'm coming to dispatch to get it. He's like, okay, I was just checking. So he knows whose trucks are in the shop, whose trucks aren't in the shop, what trailer's got to be done. He's on the ball. It's kind of impressive. So that's pretty much my review. Decent money, good people, good equipment. The one thing I don't like is I don't like getting the loads over the phone. But, you know, really, customer's a customer, a load's a load. You know, are there certain places that I don't want to go? Yeah, you know, but now, because we're kind of, well, we are small, but because we're small, if they name a town, there might only be 2 or 3 customers in that whole town that we normally go to. So I have a pretty good idea of what customers I'm going to. And, you know, it's also kind of interesting because they'll actually say, hey, I got this load, it's got some time, but you can run it through the house. Do you want to go spend the night at home? Yeah, thanks. So not only do they know us all, but they know where we all live. They know how often we go home. There was one day I stayed out for like 4 weeks, and the ladies in the office are like, wow, you're running hard, like, you know, you should take a break. I was like, oh, okay. Never heard that before. You know, one of my friends, you know, he came here before I did. He came here years ago. He's been here like 4 years. And, you know, he, at Prime, would stay out 4, 5, 6 months. And here, when he went to do that, the CEO pulled him in the office and said, I need you to take a break. I need you to take some home time. You're going to get burnt out. And when you get burnt out, what happens? You know, accidents, losing money, costing money. And so, just different. It's different. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I think it would take a lot. It would take for somebody to say that I could do a work from home job and still make decent money. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've been out here for 10 years now, so I'm kind of not wanting to stay out on the road for forever, you know. But if I gotta be somewhere, I'm happy to be here. So, but there's only one recruiter, so don't be calling and asking him a ton of questions and wasting his time and his money, because this is a small company and I really don't want to do that. I don't want to waste their time if you're not serious about a job. But if you want a job where the people treat you well and the equipment's good and you get miles, and you know it's really consistent miles, which most people don't have right now, then it's a good place to be. But you need 2 years experience. You can't have any accidents or any tickets. They don't want problem children. They want people that they can dispatch and forget you. And they want people that are going to say, hey, this is wrong with the trailer, I gotta go get fixed. Or, hey, this is wrong with the trailer, I'm leaving it red tagged in the yard and it could get fixed. You need to be responsible, and you need to be cooperative. You know, there's no reason for attitudes or anything. You don't need to argue. You don't need to fight with them. Matter of fact, the president's Italian, and growing up with an Italian mother, I know that don't get you too far. It gets you right. Well, maybe it does get you far. It gets you right out the door. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I haven't seen that side of them, but I could just imagine. You know, I can imagine somebody's going to sit there and argue. It's not going to get well. You know, you can be professional. You can sit there without attitude, and you know, you can be a human, and you could be upset, and you could disagree, and you could be frustrated and everything, and they get that. And I was really frustrated with that one California load, and I apologized, and they were like, no, you're frustrated, I get it, you know. So yeah, not going anywhere. Comment down below and let me know what is really important to you when it comes to looking for a trucking company. Is it the people? Is it the miles? Is it the equipment? Is it the pets? You know, I couldn't go someplace where I couldn't take my cat. I looked at Dot Foods, and I was really interested in them because I like their home time. It's like, it was 6 days out, 3 days home, and they have one in Springfield, and I thought it would be great, but they wouldn't let me take the cat. You know? So, if I didn't have the cat, I might be there instead of here, but right now, I'm very happy. So, I hope to see you guys out here. Chuck. Oh, and Rigo. I saw one of my subscribers, Rigo, at the TA in Morris, Illinois. Apparently, he was at Prime a few years ago, and he wound up calling me, and I have recommended that he go drive for Alan Gottfried over on Greater Omaha Express. Well, turns out now he's no longer at Prime. He owns his own truck, and it was really nice to see him in the truck stop, because he recognized me even without the makeup and the hair. And you know, I had never met him before. I only talked to him on the phone. So if I ever see you out on the truck stops or on the road, make sure you stop, say hi, and you know, if we did talk on the phone, make sure that you tell me, because you got to remember, I don't know what you look like. I talk to a lot of people. I don't know what you just look like. Yous guys, I don't know what yous guys look like, right? I'm gonna go run over to Walmart over there and go shopping real fast, and I'm still waiting for my load from JBS. But you guys take care.